What's up? Adjust my camera. Welcome, flooring family. Coming to you every Tuesday at 3 o'clock. Welcome to the Huddle.
Yes.
Here to talk about moving your flooring career forward. Now, how was that for jumbling the intro?
Did good, brother.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Good. How you guys doing?
Doing well. Joining me as always as I try to rush into this podcast, sorry, is Jose and Daniel Gonzalez from Preferred Flooring out of Grand Rapids, Michigan.
We're here.
If you're up there doing a flooring project or a construction job and need some services, these are your guys right there. So today we're going to be talking about the importance of safety. And it's kind of became a little bit bigger topic in our industry. Several news outlets or industry publications have reached out about writing some articles and such, kind of safety oriented. And so I thought I would start this off by asking you guys, have you ever been visited by OSHA?
Yes, sir.
Yes, we have.
We have as well. So I thought we'd share war stories a little bit, and then get into some of the ways that we can maybe look to improve. I know we have some ways that we needed to improve. So tell me about your guys' visit. What was the context? And you don't have to name the project. In fact, don't name the project.
Oh, it's totally
But
fine.
just
We did good. So I mean, it was just one of those random. The most recent one was one of the random visits. They were doing work outside on a lift, and they just happened to be driving by. So,
On the way to another project, not even this project.
So they did a random inspection. And they came in, and we did like everyone else who is in compliance does. We said, everybody go on break. I'll call you when it's time to come back in.
Yeah.
You know, I wish I was joking about that, but I had no idea what to expect on that one, right? Because it was a surprise. But we actually did pretty good. They came in and checked. For us, it was pretty simple. They checked all of our cords, all of our connections. They made sure that we were, boots, hard hat, high vis. I mean, we were compliant.
Did they ask you?
That day we were compliant. I would say that, but the project that we were on actually required that, right? So certain projects require full PPE, and they have their own systems in place to help make sure that everyone on site is within range of compliance for something like that.
Do you guys have your standard for safety? And so you get on a job site and the superintendent's not wearing a hard hat or whatever, and it's kind of a laxed project in that manner. Do you guys still have your guys' standards, or how do you guys deal with that?
I think that's like, especially with hard hats and stuff, it's been a big thing of mine, because if I'm wearing a hard hat and I'm kneeling down, it's going to hit the back of my neck anyways, and then done. So what is the point when I'm working on my knees, right? When I get up, yeah, I'll put it back on, but there's got to be some give and take. As far as our standards, we absolutely love the jobs where they're more relaxed on everything and we can be more comfortable, but we have no problems, going full PPE. One of the guys just poked in right before we started, and he was like, hey, is this high vis and everything today? And we're like, yep. So yeah. Some of the guys, we got high vis shirts, but they don't always wear them, so we got vests. Everyone has boots. We got boxes of safety glasses out there, cut resistant gloves, hard hats. So
Sweet hard hats too, like
So
Not
know we
like,
should go get
What's
nice custom ones.
nice? Yeah. So it sounds, we always say show up like full PPE. If the job site is not, you know, showing any, like, we still want work boots. Here's the non-negotiable items. OSHA is going to tell you hard hat, safety glasses, work boots, long pants, 4-inch sleeve shirts, right?
Yep.
That's pretty much the standard for OSHA. The our non-negotiables is either a high vis shirt or vest, long pants, 4-inch sleeves, and work boots. That's what we want our guys to wear. Now, I've caught plenty of guys in tennis shoes when it's, a really lax job, and it's really hard. Here's the thing: it's really hard to get on your guys when the superintendent and the foreman's running around and,
Crocs.
tennis shoes and stuff. So it's a difficult thing. I wrote an article recently about this that I think I'm going to send to the publications, but it talks about the leadership and it has to start up there from a safety perspective. And I know as flooring guys, we enjoy the jobs, and we always say, if we got to wear a hard hat, the job's not ready for us. That's kind of been the mantra over the years. But the truth is, the way you described it, Daniel, is how a lot of even the really safety oriented, unless we're on base and there's a Corps of Engineers safety guy and all this, it's kind of the way even our more safety conscious projects allow us to be. If we're in a room installing the floor, keep your hard hat right next to you, keep your safety glasses on, and be as far as you can take it, and keep your hard hat by you. And just like you said, Daniel, if you get up, that hard hat goes on as soon as you stand up, not as you're walking out of the room. And part of that I understand from the superintendent or a safety conscious, like a safety, a safety director or something from a GC, is they got to set precedents for everybody, because not the whole, a lot of times, you finish projects off in wings or in sections or phases, and you just can't have, one trade walking around without hard hats. That just does not set a good precedence. But, so I'll tell you about our safety, one of our OSHA. I think we've been visited 3 times total in 20 years. So not excessively. The last one was at a large hospital job, and we thankfully got through, but they almost got us on some chemicals we were using that we didn't have MSDS sheets on.
Ooh.
Denatured, simple stuff though, that not like your adhesives. We had all that, and we actually had it in the work order in Go Carerra, so that worked perfect because it had the job name, and the documents were attached with the job name and the job address, the whole work. So
awesome.
That worked perfect, but we didn't have it for denatured alcohol, and we had some acetone on site, just cleaning up marks and things like that. And because we didn't have the MSDS sheet, thankfully I had a friend at the GC firm that's like, email it to me, I'll print it off for you and put it in your folder in our office.
So that's the thing, though. They want it printed out, right, for visible for everyone. Or
It just has to be accessible,
Okay.
and it has to have the job name and the address. So, like your binder, a lot of guys, we used to put binders in their trucks with everything, and then tell them to sort it and put a divider, 2 dividers that would make that section for that job. That's it never went that far. Most of the time they're looking like you, they're looking at the cords and things like that. Well, this was such a safety conscious job that all that stuff was easy. It just like you said, it was the freaking MSDS sheets that almost got us.
Excuse
It
me.
almost got us. Thankfully, we got through it. But so there's a reminder. That's a lesson for everybody. If you have a chemical, even goof off, if it's bigger than the small thing, if you got a pint of goof off, you got to have a freaking MSDS sheet on site for that.
Right. And then when we like as an installer, you don't really think of this stuff because that's what we provide to the GCs before we even step foot on site, right? That's what they're asking for. They're like, send us everything, and then it makes it easier on our part because if OSHA goes there, they have everything right there in the job trailer, anyways.
Yeah. So you have to have your copy though. You know that?
Oh, we have everything in the folder.
Yeah.
So
So just and it always depends on who's going to this guy was looking for something, obviously, like
right,
he was digging pretty hard.
he's
Um,
trying. Someone made him angry.
he was on a mission that day, and I was almost his victim. But we're joking around a little bit, but there are some important safety things. Like we want to be safety conscious as contractors. And I know that like in the home building world, it may be lax from a standpoint of requirement from the top down, but there are standard things that, for example, face shield or protective glasses if you're cutting tile, or especially if you're not using the wet saw, if you're using a side grinder or a Makita, like the small Makita 4-inch cutting wheel with it basically looks like a circular saw.
Right.
Um, but if you're doing any of that kind of thing or you're grinding concrete, we want the guys to have proper, face masks or respirators, depending on the level, using HEPA filters. I know we've talked about that in the past, HEPA vacs and dustless equipment as much as possible. Even then, you get a little bit of dust.
Right, but that's where you have to realize too where what OSHA's looking at in what you can grind on your hands and knees versus what you can use a stand-up grinder for, and then how many CFMs your vacuum has to be for the size of the grinder. There's so much involved that people, if you don't read into it, you just don't know.
Yeah.
Because
Well, that's part of the reason I think to have an open discussion about it is to point out some of the pitfalls because whether it's my deal or, for example, like you just said, what if you don't have the right CFM on your vacuum for that stand-up grinder, but it was fine for your 7-incher
right,
or something, right? So those types of deals you want to look into. Most reasonable OSHA people and most reasonable safety directors at GC firms, as long as you have a good vacuum with a HEPA filter on it, they're gonna kind of be okay with you. But like I said, you can get that guy. I mean, we literally got very lucky we didn't get hit on that deal, and it was for acetone and denatured alcohol stuff you buy at Lowe's.
right. That could have been something you were like, oh, let's go grab this real quick, and it's just an afterthought, right?
Well, that's exactly what it was. The installer had it in his van, wanted to clean off some marks off of his vinyl and different stuff. I mean, some of his pencil marks or whatever, and cleaning different. I don't even know all of what it was on the site for, but it came out of one of our installers' vans that they kept it in the van from either our supply closet or bought it at Lowe's or something. And a lot of times that's what the danger is. And I just told our guys, like, hey, if you take something on site, at least let us know and we can email the contractor an MSDS for it.
Right.
I know it seems ridiculous, but this is why we have to do it right here. This could have been a $5,000 fine for a freaking $28 gallon of acetone,
Yeah,
So
there's we haven't got that, like, hit with that. Every one of ours that we've been on, they're just looking at, the cords. We've even had GCs that will walk around, and anytime they seen a cord that was, just a little nick in it, or one of the wires was sticking out, this GC would walk around, he'd unplug it, and he'd cut it, so you can't use it no more.
Yep. We've had that happen, and we kind of get ticked off because you can properly fix them,
Right?
but you're like, well, there goes that. I got to get a whole new plug
because they never cut it like right by.
No, they cut it with
the
that much left from the plug, and you can't do nothing about it. So you got to buy a new plug and redo the whole thing. But and if you're using 10 gauge cords like we do for our grinders and stuff, you get a 100-foot 10 gauge cord. That's a $200 cord.
Right.
So yeah, making sure that you inspect your equipment before you take it to site. All your GFI stuff all your cords are in good shape, all of that kind of thing. What do you guys think the number one cause of death on job sites?
Fall.
Yeah.
Number one cause.
Do you guys do any high tile work or anything like that?
We haven't, but we've worked in places where we had to wear a harness anyways, just because the railing on the steps weren't in.
Yeah. Or like acoustical carpet in like movie theaters and stuff like that when you're out on a baker or a ladder. That's the thing too, like the gray area, right? A ladder is hard to wear a harness.
It's really hard unless you have a tie-off point.
Right, and then but things like that is really where we've ever come in contact, or like Daniel said, temporary railing or working near an edge where the safety rail is not complete yet. Even if there is a rail there, but it's not the finished product, they still wanted you harnessed off.
Wow. Yeah, we had one of our more recent projects at a high school. We were doing really large format. I think it was 3 foot by 5 foot. I think it was slim line or slim panel. Forget the name of it, from Dow. It wasn't laminam, but it was similar product. And we're up like 40 feet. And
you gotta be harnessed. How do you maneuver all like?
Well, it was a trick. We had to rent 2 different booms to be able to get, and one guy was operating one boom with just the slab, and they'd have to hand it off to the other guy to get it up there.
And then you guys
it was a feat.
To be behind you too, or like you had to have everything behind you and sliding back and forth and.
Well, they were harnessed from the back.
Were they? Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, it becomes a challenge, that's for sure. And fall, unfortunately, I've been on a few projects where you've witnessed a fall, and it's never.
It doesn't take much.
No,
That's one thing people that I have witnessed a electrician fall off of a 6-foot ladder, and it was not a pretty sight.
That's about
and he was not on the top or anything, like maybe two steps down, so maybe his feet were 4 foot off the ground or so, and that, which doesn't even require you to be tied off until 6 feet, but that was a nasty fall from 4 foot. So like there's reasons for this stuff. Some of it's a pain in the ass, frankly, but the more safety conscious you are as a company, here's what I've found. And I would say this to all flooring contractors. Be overly safety so that when your guys are more aware. Like if you're safety training, another one of our guys just finished from, he had 10 hour and he just got his 30 hour. And, we feel like it just keeps them aware. That doesn't mean they are the guy with the hard hat, vest, and the whole works, even on jobs that are like a Main Street office that is a one-day job and the superintendent's running around in shorts, But they're still, that's why I say what our non-negotiables are a few things. We still want the high vis, and that's easy enough. Can you just buy shirts? All of our shirts are high vis, and we have a few others that they can wear. It's kind of cool. We actually caught one of the guys out at dinner with one of our shirts on. It was like, representing.
It's like, bam,
But
there.
most of our shirts are high vis, and all of the work shirts are high vis. So it makes that piece really simple. And then obviously pants. I don't care the condition. You're not wearing shorts on our jobs. Like, we've had certain crews show up to job site with shorts and tennis shoes, and that's not even an option. So there's some non-negotiables that we should have as flooring guys. Like I said, face shield or glasses if you're cutting tile. Properly not throwing. One of my pet peeves is showing up on a job site and there being carpet blades or utility blades all over. That drives me.
Especially right now when they come in a package where you can take your old blades and put it in the package as soon as you refill your knife.
Yeah.
It just took one time for me, and this was a lot of years ago when we were working on a project, and he was my brother-in-law at the time, left a blade sitting on a handrail, and we were working in a special needs facility, and we went home for the day, came back in the morning to a very upset staff there that one of the young kids there had grabbed it, and it looked like a piece of gum because the square shape. Put it in his mouth and tried to chew it up. Nothing happened. Nothing.
Thank God.
Just like that one right there. Like I was put them in like if I had a Gatorade bottle or something. I was always like one of those guys, but I was like, oh, I'll start a pile right here on this window ledge and I'll pick them up after I'm done if I didn't have everything. But after that, it was like back in the knife. After I started wearing a pouch right in my pouch, or there's a place or right directly in the trash can. But then you have to tell your guys, watch your hand, don't stick your hands in there. It's way easier just to package them up and you're safe.
Put them back in the package, or you can find duct tape when you need it. There's there you go.
A coffee can, I remember that.
We had coffee cans back in the day. I mean, like, there's ways to do it. Just find the best method that you want and keep your blades cleaned up, because that's probably, cuts in our industry is one of the biggest. And then not just like you put them in your pouch and you reach in your pouch or whatever, right? So like just properly handling those. But I'll tell you my biggest, and this was right before I started my company. I was working for another company, and one of the guys on the job site had a really bad habit of sticking his 4-inch razor scraper in his back pocket.
Ah, man.
I had to mess him up.
He spent a day in the hospital at the ER.
Did it
brand new blade, right across the wrist,
he put it with the blade up?
Yep.
Oh my God.
He didn't stick the blade down in his pocket. He just cut his rear end, or cut through his pocket or something. No, it was always blade up, and he just reached back and grab it. Well, he forgot it. Problem with doing stuff like that is you get used to it. He got used to it being back there and forgot it was there and went to go grab thought he had something else, went to go grab, and it just, bam. He ended up, I think he ended up out of work for about 4 weeks.
That's bad.
Yeah.
Bad, man.
So, like, be careful with razor scrapers. Some of the safety, like, guidelines, if you've been through OSHA's training or any real safety training, awareness is probably your best friend in safety, in my opinion. Like, a lot can be avoided if you're on a big job site. We got a really big job site with cranes, and they're moving crap around all the time.
Yeah.
I was there a week ago looking at the substrate like this, and so we're gonna have to bring in a pump truck on a side note to pump like 70,000 foot of at least half-inch
That poor,
probably on average. There's
poor concrete company.
there's literally 1.25 inch waves in this floor, all the way through these units, and it gets LVT. But they were taking a porta john over, and I was like, I also didn't want poo to get on me, but I let that thing go first. Just be aware of your surroundings. It would have saved the guy from cutting his wrist. He just wasn't aware. First off, shouldn't be doing that in the first place. That's kind of I'll just say that's a stupid thing to do. But at the same time,
I was stupid like that. I used to put before I carried a pouch, no lie, I put all my blades in my back pocket. And I remember slicing
I did that.
Butt cheek. And then I remember my utility knife falling through the hole that it cut in the back pocket and stabbed me in my calf as I was walking on the way. Like I felt it, and I moved real quick, and then I moved it.
Something bit me.
Something bit me. Yeah. Oh man. You think that would change someone's mind, but that didn't, right? It just made me start getting used to using my other pocket. Like, my pants are all bad on that side. Let me use my other pocket.
So do you guys have like what do you guys do for your safety? Do you do safety trainings? We do toolbox, as
Toolbox
job
talks.
requires. And if you have enough jobs, it works. You don't have to do something special. But do you guys do toolbox talks and all that kind of thing?
Yeah.
Well, we might be a little. We might be slacking slightly because we've kind of the crews kind of dwindle a little bit, and it's been project to project, and kind of lean on the leadership on site to go over all of that. And we are fortunate that we're working on a lot of repeat jobs with a lot of repeat customers, and we've already been through not only their safety curriculum, but then we go through it ours before we go to their meeting, and then they add to it. So you know what? Maybe we better just retouch on some of that too, because you get complacent.
Yeah, every once in a while.
Yeah.
Particularly if there's a new guy, I know that our field superintendents will do a toolbox talk in the middle of the week if we haven't had one for a job in a while, or if there's a crew that hadn't been on a job that has them. Where do you guys get your safety, your toolbox talks?
Work comp company.
There you go. If you don't know that, any installer, if you have an insurance company, they'll give you, especially if you should have work comp, so they'll provide you with a whole host, like hundreds and hundreds of different topics, and just print them off and go over the topic and get it signed, and there you go.
They'll even help you with your own custom employee
safety
handbook if you really wanted to. And most of the literature is already readily available, so it's just a matter of picking and choosing what you want to put in yours and consolidating information. It's super simple.
So I'm going to tell you one other story that we never got in trouble for, but made it really big. And I'm not going to tell you anything else except for the story. But we had 2 installers. One had a TikTok account, and he was filming. One of our guys had glued himself into a corner and grabbed a hold of a door
and swung on the door.
Swung himself over to where the glue was not, almost getting his fingers. Didn't get his fingers. No harm, no foul, but this other installer posted it on TikTok. By the time I was made aware of it, it had 1.8 million views. And people and he had this background song of something about, I forget the name of the song. It was like a parody of a really popular song, but it said something like, in a world of
OSHA violations.
Yeah,
the Willy Wonka song, right?
There you go. So that's the song that they had played, and at 1.8, I was like, this was within a week. And this wasn't modern. This was right when, I mean, maybe 2 years ago, maybe TikTok was a couple of years old at that point, or a year old, something like
Yeah.
that. So it wasn't like today a 1.8 million views or 1.7 million views is still a lot, but it's not out of this world. That's pretty out of this world if you think about it back then.
It is.
And anyway, so we had him take it down, obviously, and said, you know, guys, it would have been just as easy to leave your path out of the door, glue that little bit with the rest of the room that you had to finish anyway. No need in having you didn't have to have a straight line. You can zigzag your LVT and not have to worry about it. But yeah, so just
I might be a little jealous that he was able to hold on to the door and swing, because I know that if I did that, it'd be fail. I'd be on the fail army.
you'd be in the glue.
I'd be in the glue. Yeah, like
Well, I thought, safety's never like the funnest conversation to have, but I thought we could just challenge each other from asking those types of questions of what is your safety protocol?
yeah,
What are the what are the things that you guys want from your crews on site, regardless of whether or not is it the same? Is it pants and a 4-inch sleeves, or
yes,
if it's
100%.
really like a lax, can they wear tank tops?
Nope. They
Okay, so you guys kind of
wear
have
the sleeves, wear pants.
100% uniformed, always with the company logo. I mean, there are instances where it's like, it gets cold outside. They wear a short sleeve shirt, and they're cold, so they have to wear a jacket or something like that. But we do try to provide apparel for all weather. I mean, we don't work outside, so we don't have overalls or anything like that. But we try to make it so it's hard for anyone not to have something preferred flooring on the job site, right? Like,
and then all your stuff checks all the boxes for safety
yes,
anyway.
yes, and the vest and the high vis, I think that's the hardest one, because like we did notice that depending on the color of high vis, it does retain some smell, and I don't know why that is, but it does
On your
on
shirts?
your
Yeah.
shirts. Yes, depending on
Really?
the material and the color. I think cotton, high vis yellow, and cotton retained more smell. So I mean, it's hard to work with someone when they smell like a bag of dirty rags, and it's not their fault, right? And
I haven't ran into that with ours. The fluorescent.
or maybe I just stink. I don't know. But you try to have all that in place, because you want to make sure that you're representing, and you want separation, right? You want, if something were to happen, you want to be able to be recognizable by some of the other trades. Hey, that's preferred flooring. You don't want, I don't know who that is, right? Wearing a AC/DC shirt, and
Yeah.
it's just, I think
Well, that's not only unprofessional, it's also
right.
distracting, and that's why most safety directors don't want it on their job sites,
And I think identifying an individual and as to what company they are is also a part of safety as well. You need to be able to identify and create separation.
Well, who do I go to if this guy gets hurt if I don't know who he works
Right.
for, right?
Yeah.
That's part of it. So do you guys so I asked you what was the number one cause of death. Do you know what the number one cause for injury is?
Lifting.
You guys are like, did you read, like, did you guys get my article from Ashland or something?
Oh, really? Is it how?
It is. It's lifting. So
Okay.
we do one of the biggest things, and we've probably got a little lax on this occasionally as well, but proper lifting of like sheet vinyl rolls
Oh,
and stuff like
man.
that, moving those things, like there's an art to this.
There is an art, and we have some stories about that, and you're absolutely right. Like, if you don't know anything about center of gravity and balance, like, there is an art to that, and many of people that have worked with us, alongside us, including ourselves, have avoided injury. Like, that thing will break your leg, like, bam, if you're not doing it right. It'll break anything.
Well,
Yeah, so we when we do our classes on lifting of sheet vinyl, because you don't always have like anything fancy on a job site to pick it up and move it around. You got to get it up and onto at least on a cart or something if you're going to move it a far distance. And one of the things we try to make sure of is first off, when you're storing it, store it together tight and band it together.
Yep.
It's much less likely to fall. Don't just store one roll here and then a foot away another roll and a foot away another roll. If it's going to be stored there for any minute, any length of time, because you guys know you don't have to hit it that hard
nope.
to knock it over. And when it's coming down, baby, you better be really strong if you think you're going to stop a roll of sheet vinyl from hitting the floor.
I would say forget about strength and just learn how to move out of the way.
So that's the second point, actually, is when you are moving, it's one guy in front, one guy in back, everybody else the heck out of the way, and know where your points are. Like if it falls, that you're not destroying something. So leaning it in a direction, and if it gets away from you, get the hell out of it.
Yeah.
Just 100%. That's what.
And let it fall.
And just know, like, if you guys are moving it, know that drywall, paint, all that stuff is a lot easier to repair than your body.
If you're aware when you're moving it, you can even avoid damaging other stuff, and it'll just fall on the concrete. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but the best thing, I don't care about, replacing a piece of sheetrock or a window at the end of the day if it's got to do with someone's, health. So we teach proper handling of that, and then proper lifting. I used to do a ton of VCT. That's not as big of a deal anymore, but a box of VCT was 63.5 pounds. And you move 30, 40,000 square foot in a day, maybe install 10 and you're shuffling 10 and staging 10. And I mean, that's a lot of lifting. So learning to lift properly and make sure that you're using your legs. And if you need a back brace, we have back braces and all this other stuff. But really, a technique is going to there's no equipment that's going to save you from bad technique.
No. And any young cats out there starting, I would say,
take care of your body.
If you know you're going to spend a day unloading, put on a back brace.
Your number one tool. Need it. Your number one tool, remember? Your body.
Yeah,
that's right.
Like, put on a back brace. I remember unloading 2 truckloads of VCT, and we were getting into the groove, and then all it takes is one person, let me shift this box, and they go to reach for the other one. The other guy's already letting it go out of the truck. I remember him dropping it on the truck driver's fingers, and that dude's fingers exploding. And then he goes, and then blood just went, pss. It's like...
That sounds...
That was a long time ago, but that's all it took, like...
And Jorge says that, paying attention to inflammation and nerves in your back and stuff, because even the smallest little lifting or something can mess you up.
The lifting and twisting, like, he does a lot of Broadway out of high-end carpet. That stuff's pretty heavy. Probably rolling it up, fold it in half, try to strap it on so one person can carry a big roll. Lift and twist is very, very...
Well, and lifting broad loom is another, that's probably where we relax the most because we do so little of it anymore. But man, I tell you what, that's an art as well. Yeah, how do you pick up a 35-foot drop on your shoulder with 2 guys, right?
Let it drop down, and hopefully you're in the middle.
We have a video, like a little short on YouTube, where we went and got a bunch of the things that they use for appliance. They, put it over the appliance and put it on your forearms. We got a bunch of those straps, and there's like 8 people carrying over 125-foot rolls or something into a church.
Yeah, somebody was making fun of that being done like that, but they were like, just lift it up. And you know what? We've been there, done that, man. And we had to find an easy way to do it. We had to go up and down steps and through between the pews and in the walkway. Like, it had to be very controlled because of all the old woodwork that was through that facility, through that church.
Well, and how heavy it was. Geez. I mean, 125-foot roll weighs 800 pounds probably, depending on the ounce weight, I mean, 800 pounds. That's a lot of weight. And you got a lot of, you know, safety is really about like preserving your health long time.
Yeah.
That's how I look at it for flooring. Not just an injury, but long term. How do you save your knees? How do you save your back? How do you save your neck? Those things that we experience injury long term, whatever that's called, where the effects of daily use of that of your knees,
Wear and tear,
they
right?
just
It goes from, if you start with all the safety regulations and requirements from OSHA on down, it really all goes back to self-preservation, right? Like your preventative maintenance, preventative health. That's what you're trying to do. You're trying to prevent injury, bodily harm. I mean, you're gonna get hurt at some point when you're in construction.
That's why the standards are there, because why do you have to wear a harness? Because someone fell at one point. They don't want anyone to fall again. Why do we wear knee pads? Because at some point someone was like, my knees kind of hurt. Let me invent something so my knees don't hurt as bad.
I can't get rid of this
Yep.
bursitis. I got
and
calcium
you got
deposits.
your prod, your trade specific items. In general, you got hard hats, eye and face protection, high vis, respirators, hearing protection, hand protection, and foot protection. The one that to me is most abused is hearing protection, but it's not in the way, well, it's probably the way you think. Guys wearing earbuds or earphones, listening to music and calling that hearing protection. And I'm like, first off, those earbuds are not doing they probably help, but they're causing more harm by you not being able to hear the other people, right? Like earmuffs it should be used sparingly when you're doing the work. Don't walk around a job site with earmuffs on. So you could take a piece of safety equipment that's meant to. The whole point is you could take a piece of safety equipment that's meant to help you and protect you and turn it into a hazard. If you're walking around a job site with earmuffs on and you can't hear someone yelling at you to get out of the way for something,
Right.
And there's some of the contractors around here too are no more headphones at all.
yeah,
Like at all. Not even the earbuds. Especially not the big headphone. Like the
Over the ear.
over the ear.
yeah, like the Bose,
Yeah.
the full on, like noise canceling headphones.
Noise
What are those?
canceling
I
ones,
mean,
right.
come on.
So, and that's one thing too. Like it's always been a pet peeve of mine because he when we worked together, he was the one that would put him in and he'd rock out, and I'd be like, hey Daniel, and then that's when all safety out. You grab your knife, you throw it at him because he's not listening. No, I'm just playing. But so that part I understand. Like you're right, the safety you got to hear. Hey, watch out! Hey, or somebody's backing up. But then I started using a headset for talking on the phone instead of working and having to stop. But I would only put one in.
We're okay with like a single earbud, but we don't want you listening to music unless it's like, and we know it's going to happen, but we try to say, like, just think of yourself. A lot of safety is trying to ingrain the idea of safety. It's not just doing the act because you have to do the act. I try to approach it. I know our guys try to approach it that are really in charge of safety for us. Try to approach it to teach you why you need to do this. Why is it so important? Like if you're going to listen to music, I mean, what am I going to do? Walk up to every guy and they're probably listening to music, but keep it at a level where you can hear other people and only one earbud in, period. If you're going to have an earbud in, because a lot of people do that with their phone, so they don't, just like you said, they don't have to stop, pick up the phone. They can just go, hello,
Yep.
And I get it, but at the same time, we got to be somewhat safety conscious. So trying to just ingrain the idea of safety and the whys behind each reason, and then let each guy use some common sense, because all this can go out the window without common sense. I mean, you know, so
Gloves. Wear gloves whenever you can. I did appreciate all the work I put into my calluses at one point, and I took pride in shaking someone's hand and my hand feeling like an absolute rock. I loved
gorilla hands.
Yeah, I loved it when they said something like that was a compliment to my hard work when they said that. But I also remember working 2 hours away from Daniel by myself, tearing up ceramic and trying to be quiet in a bank, and then my hand, no gloves, and my hand going through all the shards, and I cut myself to the bone, and I called it. I don't know if I'm gonna finish this. This is what happened, and I remember calmly walking up. Hey, where's the restroom?
Yeah, this is when we first started, and we were both on projects by ourselves. It's like,
yeah,
it healed up nice.
That's actually a really good point, and most tile guys know it. But if you're just demoing tile, and maybe you're not a tile guy that's ever been cut down, I've certainly been cut by porcelain tile that's broken, and
it wasn't my first time.
It's a razor sharp. Razor sharp. So if you are a entry level apprentice or new guy doing some demo on tile, wear gloves and still be careful.
Right, and that's why we got, I always buy them when they go on sale. I'll buy a bunch of them, and we just have a tote out there. We got cut resistant gloves, we have work gloves, we have insulated gloves for in the wintertime when we're loading and unloading.
Yeah, and cut resistant gloves has come a long way from the first time I ever put one on till now. They've come a long way.
We like to give them to like the brand new people. Like, here goes your gloves, because just changing a scraper blade, that's where I got a scar right here from just going like this, and then it slips, and then boom, that's all.
Yeah, there's a lot of silliness that happens. I was cleaning just a patching trowel once.
Oh.
And I used it all day, and my dumbass
I can feel it.
Went down it hurt so bad. Kind of gives me the cringy.
I bet you that wasn't the only time you've done it either.
No. Don't call me out, but no, it wasn't.
The crazy part is the first time is always the worst, and the second time it's not as bad, but you're like, oh, I should have known. The third time you're like, I'm dumb.
If it gets it good enough, you're like, that's the last time I'm doing that. That was the last time, because I cut the tar out of my thumb. Just trying to pull chunks of just get the thick patch off so I could wash it. And man, with the water and the metal,
we used to use rags in a water bucket to clean our trowels until like cut after cut. It's like, all right, dude, something's got. Then we got the brushes with the long handles.
Yeah, the brushes.
And
that's best way.
Yeah, it is, and that's. We don't show anyone else how to clean it besides like that.
So, in challenging ourselves, would you guys say you have a culture of safety?
I would say that I don't want to say culture, right? Because that means that it's all encompassing. That means that we embrace every aspect of it 100% of the time. But I would say that we make sure that we are implementing safety all the time. Like,
yeah, I say we're cognizant, not culturized.
Yeah, there you go. It's like the culture is definitely.
Is that because we're flooring guys?
I think it is, to be honest with you.
Because I feel like I take a leadership kind of stance on a lot of this stuff, but as safety conscious as I am, and I use the word conscious because that's what I feel like our company is, but to have it as part of our culture, I feel like we'd have to take more steps and more steps in the direction of enforcement, probably. Enforcement's important though, because the one thing I didn't say is the guy that had the scraper in the back of his pocket, our foreman, other people, he was a mechanic. There was a project foreman on this project is a big high school. We made fun of him, like joked about it. Like, yeah, you're going to cut you know, you can cut your arm off someday, or watch out, you're going to shave your back, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But never said, take the freaking scraper out of your pocket.
Right.
Like,
Oh,
I was only 22, so I'm not trying to give myself an excuse, but I was a little bit fearful. So I would say one part of the culture should be nobody should be fired for filing a safety concern about somebody else, no matter who that
and
is.
that's it right there. A safety concern, right? Like it's not a complaint; it's a concern, and it's out of concern for someone else's safety, your safety. That's a really good way to put it. And
If someone's being unsafe on a job site, I want people to feel comfortable enough to say something without the fear of being fired or some level of retaliation.
Well, that's where, that's why we say we're a team, right? We're not. It's not. I'm gonna go snitch on you because you're doing this. It's, hey, we're gonna talk about this because this needs to be fixed, right? Like this isn't safe. How can we fix it? And it's not like I'm calling you out because you were doing this wrong. It's, hey, maybe we've always done it this way. I don't like the way it's happening. What can we do to change it?
well,
Yeah, if you can empower them to have some self-governance, meaning the 22-year-old brand new kid that just got out of, a 10-week course or something, and a portion of that was safety, and then he goes to your job and a mechanic's doing something unsafe, or a full-fledged journeyman or something's doing something unsafe. You want that new guy to have the power to say something to him without him getting retaliated against. That's the trickiest thing with safety, I think, because what old dude's going to listen to this new cat, right? They always get this attitude. We've watched it happen. And I'm like, hey, man, he either cares about his own safety or he cares about yours. And either way, he should say something. He's just a pompous little shit. That's what I got back.
You just see it over and over again, right? And the biggest one lately for me has been the silica standard. Because you got all these guys out, I breathed asbestos for years and I'm fine. You guys can get, silica is nothing. And it's like, that's not the point. We know that it causes health issues. Let's do everything we can to keep everyone healthy. And it's not just everyone else. It's yourself included. Like,
well, not only that,
and if you don't care about yourself, at least start caring about
other
others.
people.
Because,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing too, is who's more susceptible. Like if someone has an underlying issue that they don't even know about yet, and you're kicking up all that dust, and next thing you know, they have a reaction to the silica or something that's airborne. Like if they have a reaction inside, we don't know what's going to happen. Like we don't know that. I don't know if someone.
Yeah.
Like I just met my son's baseball coach. We made some food. We brought it to one of the games, and it had onions in it. He said, "Does it have onions?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, this is guac. Yeah, it's got onions in it." He was like, "Oh, I'm allergic to onions." I'm like I wouldn't. I've never met anybody allergic to onions, so I don't think of it, right? And the peanut butter thing, but it's the same thing. Someone might have just a bad reaction to something that's in the airborne contaminants.
Well, and the other thing is, as part of the why, like, if asbestos was heavier, it wouldn't be near as dangerous. But, a particle of asbestos takes like 24 hours to fall 6 feet in dead space. So it stays right around this face zone once it kicks up for an hour before it even falls to your chin. Like it takes an hour for it to fall this far, basically, right? Silica is heavier, and it's a different shape of a particle, so it falls faster, but not. That's a problem with silica too, is it's still very light and it falls very slowly. That's part of the danger. There's plenty of things in this world that'll give you cancer and cause you problems, but they're away from you, Part of the problem is how slow these particles fall. So the point being here is if you kick up dust, if you kick up asbestos, which if you're messing with asbestos, then you need to be licensed to mess with it. But point is with the silica is you can cause people harm that when you think they're not in harm. You got, that's why the why to me is so important. Them understanding why we use this HEPA equipment. It's not just concrete dust. It's like you got to understand what this stuff does, and then you can kind of get your head wrapped around why it's so important that, hey, maybe we should protect ourselves a little bit better.
Hey, another added bonus to the whole silica thing is it made us realize how many times we were cleaning the same dust storm, right? So now that you have to be more careful at cleaning up, the residual that's left over is a lot less, and you're a lot less likely to have to clean up again the next day. You create a dust storm, you clean up, you're like, we're all good for tomorrow, come in, start spreading glue. You come in the next day, you go like this, and it's like,
yeah,
but now
it's crazy.
Yeah.
My very first day on any job site, I got kicked off. I think I may have told you guys this story, but I got some good old fashioned fluorine hazing going on, go grab the tile stretcher kind of shit. And it was, instead of that though, they gave me a broom and sent me into the sanctuary of a church that had all this wood, these wood beams.
Oh.
And they were all finished and perfectly clean. All that was left was to lay the carpet. And the guy sent me in and said, hey, go sweep that room.
With a kitchen broom?
I was like, yeah, like I'd never even, outside of sweeping a garage floor or something, I had never,
right.
I didn't know the process of how to keep the dust down, let alone I shouldn't have been sweeping that floor anyway. I should have vacuumed it. But they were like, go sweep that floor. I went in there and I'm just like,
come on, look how white my nose hairs are, guys.
Dude, I bet I sucked enough silica that day for all of us.
That's just
my nose had it. I had it in my ears. I had eye boogers that were like crusty black, brown eye I was coughing the crap up. And I got kicked off the job site because superintendent come in there and called me the dumbest MFer he's ever met.
Hey, I got that.
And threw me off the job site.
First time somebody told me to go grab sweeping compound. It's the same thing. Like go and grab the vinyl or the base stretcher. Sweeping compound. Why am I gonna throw stuff on the floor to sweep it back up? That sounds so stupid. So I went and dusted the place out. They're like, dude, where's the sweeping compound? I'm like, what are you talking about? I'm not falling for that. And they're like, no, seriously, it's a real thing. I'm like, oh, you guys gotta stop playing jokes on everybody. Like I didn't know.
That's the one they didn't. The oil-based sweeping compound. Not to get off the safety subject, but don't use that.
Yeah, don't.
Use the wax stuff. But I know we're not. I feel like we're pretty good because we get a lot of like.
Just hit stop streaming. I got to take off. I got to get my son to his game. So I'm just.
Well, good luck.
Just hit stop streaming when you're done.
Easy
See ya.
See ya, Daniel. So I feel like we're pretty good, and we show up on site with. We always say just show up as if you're going to a fully PPE job, and then if the superintendent is dressed a certain way, match your foreman or the project superintendent, right? But I think we got to look past just what is enforced and encourage them to look around. If there's overhead work, please wear your hard hat. Even if the superintendent's not, it's just not worth it. One elbow off of a fire sprinkler, weighs 3 pounds, falling from 30 feet.
I've knocked.
That'll at least knock you out, if not, and give you a heck of a good gash. Like, think of your people. And I know how much flooring guys hate this subject too. So, but it's so important.
It's necessary.
It's necessary. It is necessary. It is necessary, and protecting yourself from long-term harm, but also that short-term harm. And so that's why I feel like we do pretty good. But from a overall like construction standpoint, I think just flooring in general is a little bit behind, you know?
Well, we're way behind. We're not just a little bit. We're way behind, and that's only we. Most of the flooring installers are individual sole proprietors, right? Subcontractors,
Independence.
independents. They don't think about having to maintain a program that could facilitate 10, 20, 30, 40 people, and that's what it is. Once you start getting into that, and you have to start worrying about more than just yourself, that's where a lot of that comes into place. And larger companies like share your information with your subcontractors, right?
Do it with your subs. It's one
Yeah.
of the trainings you can do and not get in any trouble from like employer training type stuff, crossing any lines there. Safety training is the one you can do with with like, that's why GCs can do it with us, right? They don't send us to learn how to lay sheet vinyl, nor could they, even if they wanted to.
Right.
But they can do safety trainings with us. So safety training is one of those things you can do with your subs. You can do with you should be doing it with everybody as much as you can. And that's where I think the toolbox talks. And if you have some safety conscious projects, it comes in real handy to, have some consistency in those meetings. So what do you guys, just to close this out, is there anything that we've talked about that kind of made you say, we need to get a little bit better at that?
Yeah, I think it's just more or less being more consistent with the conversation and making sure that we're stirring up the dust again, the dust with the safety talk, right? Like, I know, like, it's always fresh in my mind, and whenever I'm showing somebody something or we're talking about it, I always bring it up. But as far as going over specifics and being more consistent on it, like on a schedule with it, it's like, hey guys, this is safety week of every month, or hey, this is every other Wednesday should have a safety day. You know what I mean? Just so that way it's fresh, and then
That's a good idea. Like do once a month or once
yeah.
a week, just like a safety refresher even.
Right, like who's not being safe, who is being safe, who's making sure that it's implemented, who's making sure that you have what you need when you're forgetting to be safe, right? Like,
I think it's really important because I'm going to close out with this because I can't believe how fast time goes sometimes, but if everybody's successful in getting more new blood into the industry, those guys have to act in a safe manner. They're going to hurt themselves or somebody else. So your supervisors and the best thing you can do is make sure that everybody takes a leadership role in safety. Be conscious and understand that just because the superintendent's not wearing a hard hat, look around you. Assess the situation. Put one on if you feel like it's the best thing to have one on. Even if it's not, you're not going to get in trouble for not having it. A lot of the electricians and plumbers and the bigger trades, they wear it all the time, dude. Like,
Yeah.
It's just part of their work gear. And I get it. Flooring, we're a lot further down the road on a project. So that's part of our reluctancy, I think. And then the fact is we're on our knees all day, and having a hard hat on kind of sucks. And so does safety glasses. They're always sliding down and
right
getting in your
hard hat,
way.
too.
And
They have what do they call them? Bump caps? Is that what they call them? They're a little bit smaller, made for not in the beginning stages of a project, but get one that fits for you. And I've had the big gaudy ones, and I've had the smaller ones. And I tell you what, from being a finisher going in there in a project, the smaller ones are more up my alley anyway. I'm not bumping my head under a desk. I'm not bumping my head on a lot of things.
yeah, they got them the size of like almost the size of bike helmets that are really tight to your head. So I mean,
comfortable.
yeah.
It's an investment.
They even have the ones we had to buy them for one project that required chin straps.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
So, I mean, of course, our old guys are like, that's fine unless something hits it and takes it off, and then it's choking me to death or rip my freaking whole head off. I'm like, okay, you kind of got
You
a
just
point.
take your carpet knife out and you cut the strap, right? Okay, that's not say. Don't listen to me, guys. I'm sorry.
Don't rewind, strike that.
Yeah, edit that.
All right, my man. Well, we've come to the end here. I want to thank you guys again for being on and as always, bringing some good content. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like, subscribe. We do this every Tuesday. We don't have sponsors. We don't have any of that. We just come to you with some industry knowledge. A lot of years I installed right out of high school, basically. These guys have been installing a long time, so we got a lot of experience and a few OSHA visits under our belts. So, we hope you take this serious, even though we know it's a subject that isn't, the probably funnest to talk about, nor the one that flooring guys like. I was eating lunch earlier, and 3 hardwood guys walked in literally with tennis shoes and shorts on. And I was like, I'm going to be talking about that this afternoon.
Yeah. And all jokes aside, I know I have a lot of jokes when it comes to safety and all that, but it's one of those things, you make a joke and it resonates with someone because they'll remember the joke and then they'll relate it to the conversation. But when you're the one helping everyone learn the safety, and every time you teach someone something about safety in the flooring industry and you have a story about how dumb you were at one point and didn't follow it, that's not good, guys. Like, I know that I'm one of those guys. That's not good to have the story. This is why this is in the book. This is
it's a serious matter, and one we should try as an industry to take a step forward on. Overall, just representing as construction. One of the things we gripe about in flooring is not being respected as much as we used to be when we walk on job sites, or as much as some other trades sometimes. This is another way, like, show you're serious about your safety and the safety of others, and show that you're concerned about safety overall, and that you have some level of a safety program. If you work for a shop and you're an installer, talk to them. Maybe they'll put on a safety seminar. I know we certainly do, and just not as often as we should. So that's where I think we can get better as well.
Yeah.
So, all right, my brother, it was great seeing you again. Loved it. Appreciate everything, and we will see you next week.
All right, man. Have a good one. Thanks, guys.
All right, see you, man.
Recording stop.